ever look back at your life and realize the very places you thought were destroying you were actually the places that were planting you? You thought it was punishment, but it was preparation. You thought being overlooked meant you weren't good enough, but what if it was heaven's way of tucking you away, protecting you until the right season? See, your struggle wasn't a sign that you were losing. It was the seed. The seed doesn't get to shine when it's first planted. It's buried. It's surrounded by dirt. It's in the dark where nobody can see what's happening. And if you've ever been in that kind of season, you know how heavy that dirt feels when it's pressing against you, when it feels like the weight of life is suffocating your joy, when the people you counted on turned their backs and you had to sit in the soil of your own tears. But here's the part we forget: dirt is necessary for growth. The seed can't transform without the weight of the dirt. And that's what your struggle has been doing. It's been pressing on you, but also pulling something out of you. Every no you faced, every rejection you carried, every moment you questioned your worth, it was not wasted. It was watering something inside of you. It was breaking open the shell of who you thought you were so you could become who you were created to be. See, the glow up doesn't begin when people see you shining. It begins in the struggle that no one else applauds. It begins in those hidden places where you wrestle with yourself, where you ask, God, why me? Why this? Why now? It begins when you fight back tears but keep showing up anyway. When you wake up broken but still keep moving. That's the work nobody posts, nobody claps for, but that's where the glow up is born. You thought being buried was the end of your story, but the seed teaches us that being buried and being planted look the same in the beginning. The difference is expectation. When you're buried, there's no hope. When you're planted, there's a future. And I came to remind you tonight, you weren't buried, you were planted. Every hard thing you survived wasn't putting an end to you. It was setting you up to sprout. And I know some of you are still in that dark place. You don't see movement yet. You don't see the evidence of your glow up. But can I tell you, roots grow before fruit shows. God had to let you develop roots in silence so that when you rise, you don't break under the pressure of the blessing. That season of struggle gave you depth. It gave you a foundation. It taught you lessons you couldn't learn in the light. So don't despise the dirt. Don't despise the seasons where it looked like nothing was happening, where it felt like everyone passed you by. Because one day, what's been growing in private is going to break through the surface. And when it does, nobody will be able to deny what's on your life. They won't understand how you went from overlooked to undeniable, from rejected to radiant. But you'll know that your struggle was the seed. That's why I need you to hold on a little longer. Don't curse your process. Don't let the dirt fool you into thinking you're dead. You are planted. And when the time comes, your glow up won't just be about you. It will be the testimony that the pain had a purpose, the darkness had direction, and the struggle was necessary. We love the idea of a glow up, don't we? We love the thought of stepping into a season where people finally recognize the light we've been carrying, where doors open and blessings flow. But what we don't always want to talk about is the journey it takes to get there. Because a glow up doesn't come wrapped in ease or comfort. It doesn't show up without scars. It is birthed through pain, through fire, through the nights when you cried so hard you thought your heart would break. And through the days when you smiled in public while silently bleeding inside. Pain is not the enemy of your glow up. It's part of the process that makes it possible. See, pain has a way of refining you. It strips away the pieces of you that were never meant to last. It burns off the old, the fragile, the surface level stuff that can't survive where you're going. Pain forces you to ask questions you would never ask if life was comfortable. Who am I really? What do I actually believe about myself? What's worth holding on to? And what do I need to release? You don't ask those questions when everything is easy. It's pain that drives you to search for the deeper meaning, the real truth, the unshakable core of who you are. And let's be real, nobody volunteers for pain. Nobody prays for heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment, or loss. But if you look back at the strongest parts of yourself, if you trace the resilience in your spirit, 9 times out of 10, it was forged in moments you thought would break you. You didn't know you had that kind of strength until life demanded it. You didn't know you could survive until you were standing on the other side of the storm. Pain taught you that. The glow up isn't about pretending the pain didn't happen. It's about allowing the pain to shape you without defining you. It's about saying, yes, I went through it, but I came out with wisdom. Yes, I was hurt, but I healed. Yes, I was knocked down, but I stood back up. Pain becomes the evidence that you can't be broken as easily as people thought. That kind of endurance is what makes the glow undeniable. Think about it. Gold isn't pure until it's tested by fire. Diamonds don't shine until they've been pressed. Seeds don't grow until they break open. And you had to go through your own fire, your own pressure, your own breaking to reveal the brilliance that was hidden inside of you all along. If you skip the pain, you skip the process. And if you skip the process, you miss the power. I know some of you wish the pain away. You pray for it to be over, and you're tired of pretending you're okay. But don't despise what's shaping you. That heartbreak taught you self-respect. That betrayal sharpened your discernment. That loss taught you gratitude for the people you still have. That season of struggle created a hunger in you that comfort never could. Without the pain, you wouldn't be as sharp, as resilient, as ready as you are right now. And hear me when I say this. The glow up is not about erasing your scars. It's about showing up with them and still shining. It's about walking into rooms carrying everything you've been through and radiating anyway. Because your scars are not proof of weakness. They're proof of survival. They testify that the pain did not take you out, that you endured the fire and came out refined. So don't run from the pain. Don't numb it. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. Face it, because it's working for you. It's chiseling you into the version of yourself that the world won't be able to ignore. The glow up isn't about skipping the hard parts. It's about surviving them and letting them fuel your rise. And when you finally step into your shine, the same people who only saw your pain will be shocked by your power. There's something about the silent seasons that can shake you if you don't understand their purpose. Those moments where your phone doesn't ring, where nobody checks on you, where your name isn't being called, and it feels like the world has forgotten you. You're doing your best, but no one seems to notice. You pour out love, but it doesn't come back the same way. You show up for people, but when you need them, they're nowhere to be found. And if you've ever been in that kind of silence, you know how it can feel like rejection. But the truth is, silence is not always rejection. It's often training. It's strength being built in places no one else can see. Silent seasons are uncomfortable because we crave applause. We crave affirmation. We crave the nod that says, yeah, I see you. But when those claps go quiet, that's when you learn to clap for yourself. That's when you stop performing for people and start building for purpose. When nobody else validates you, you learn how to validate yourself. And that right there is strength. That's the kind of strength that can't be shaken when the spotlight finally hits you. Think about it. Athletes don't build their strength on game day. They build it in empty gyms when no one's watching. Singers don't perfect their voice in front of the crowd. They perfect it in rehearsal when nobody's clapping. Silent seasons are rehearsals for destiny. They force you to refine yourself in private so that when the public moment comes, you're not scrambling, you're ready. I know some of you are in that season right now. You feel like you've been hidden, like you've been overlooked, like no one cares. But don't mistake hiddenness for abandonment. Sometimes you're hidden because you're still being developed. Sometimes you're hidden because you're not ready for the weight of being seen. And sometimes you're hidden because what you carry is too valuable to be exposed too soon. If it's revealed prematurely, It won't survive the pressure. So God tucks you away, not to punish you, but to preserve you. And let's be honest, silent seasons test your heart. Because when no one's watching, it's easy to slack off, to stop pushing, to think, what's the point? But when you keep pressing, even when no one's clapping, you're proving to yourself that your glow isn't dependent on applause. It's dependent on consistency, on discipline, on faith. That's the kind of glow up that shocks the world. Not the one built on attention, but the one built on character. Silent seasons also reveal who's really in your corner. When the lights are off, you learn quickly who loves you for you and who only loved you for what you could do for them. And while it hurts to discover who won't show up, it also clears the path for you to see who genuinely does. Sometimes the silence exposes truth you would have missed in the noise. And here's the part that makes me smile. Silent seasons don't last forever. They are temporary, but the strength they build in you is permanent. They teach you how to rely on God when people don't answer the call. They teach you how to keep walking when the crowd isn't cheering. They teach you how to trust the process even when you can't see progress. That kind of training makes your glow undeniable when the time finally comes. So don't despise the quiet. Don't despise the hiddenness. Don't despise the seasons where it feels like nothing's moving. Because what you're building in silence will soon echo in the open. And when it does, people will be shocked by the weight of what you carry, the depth of who you've become, and the strength you walk in. There comes a moment in life where you realize the glow up was never just about the surface. It was never only about the new opportunities, the success, the recognition, or even the outer transformation people can see. The real glow up is about alignment, about stepping fully into who you were always meant to be. It's about looking at yourself and realizing you are no longer the version that life tried to break, that pain tried to define, that fear tried to limit. You are the healed version, the bold version, the unshaken version. The glow up redefines not just how the world sees you, but how you see yourself. For so long, many of us carry labels that other people gave us. Maybe it was the family who told you what you'd never be. Maybe it was the relationship that stripped your confidence. Maybe it was the friend group that never valued your presence. Without even realizing it, you start to live under those labels. You start to measure yourself by words you never deserved. But when you align with the truth of who you really are, you start tearing off every label that doesn't belong to you. You stop answering to the broken name people gave you, and you step into the identity that was yours all along. That's where the glow up begins to redefine. And let me tell you, it's not just about a change of circumstance. It's about a shift of identity. You don't walk the same way you used to. You don't settle the same way you used to. You don't think the same way you used to. The things that used to intimidate you don't shake you anymore. The people who used to have power over your emotions don't control you anymore. You stand different because you know different. You know your worth. You know your calling. You know you survived things that should have taken you out. And now you're not apologizing for the light you carry. When you rise, you redefine what strength looks like. You redefine what healing looks like. You redefine what success looks like. People will expect the old you, the broken you, the insecure you. But the glow up isn't about returning to the version they remember. It's about becoming the version they never imagined. The healed you is unrecognizable compared to the wounded you. The confident you is unrecognizable compared to the insecure you. The whole you is unrecognizable compared to the fractured you. And that's why it shocks the world, because you don't just rise, you rise transformed. And I need you to hear this. The glow up is not just for appearances, it's for alignment. You're not shining because of validation. You're shining because of authenticity. You're no longer living for people's approval. You're living in purpose. You're no longer bending yourself to fit places you were never meant to be. You're walking in spaces that fit the fullness of who you are. That's the difference between a temporary shine and a lasting glow. The shine fades when it's built on performance, but the glow is eternal when it's built on truth. I know some of you are afraid of that transformation because you wonder, who will I be without the old story? Who will I be without the pain that shaped me? Who will I be if I stop shrinking just to make everyone else comfortable? And I'll tell you who you'll be free. Free from the chains of who you thought you had to be. Free from the expectations that boxed you in. Free from the weight of carrying versions of yourself that no longer serve your future. That's what the glow up does. It reintroduces you to yourself. And yes, it may cost you. Some people won't understand the new you. Some people won't be able to handle the healed you. Some people will say you've changed, and they'll be right. You have. You were never meant to stay the same. Growth requires change. Healing requires change. Destiny requires change. And the glow up is unapologetic about it. Because once you align with who you really are, you can't go back to pretending to be less. So don't be afraid to redefine. Don't be afraid to outgrow the spaces, the labels, the mindsets that no longer fit you. Don't be afraid to rise and shock the world with the version of you that was always hidden underneath the pain. Because the glow up isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. One of the most beautiful things about a true glow up is that it doesn't need an announcement. It doesn't need a broadcast. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't need you to prove yourself to anybody. When it's real, when it's authentic, when it's birthed from the kind of growth that comes through pain, silence, and alignment, the glow speaks for itself. Your shine will be undeniable. For too long, many of us have felt the pressure to prove our worth. You tried to convince people who underestimated you. You tried to explain yourself to those who dismissed you. You tried to earn the applause of those who never intended to clap for you. And somewhere along the line, you may have believed that your value was tied to their recognition. But a real glow up teaches you that you don't need an audience to validate your shine. You don't need to post it, shout it, or beg anyone to notice. Because when it's your season, your transformation is undeniable. It radiates in ways that can't be denied, even by those who don't want to see it. The undeniable glow isn't about being flashy. It's about being authentic. It's not about dressing up pain so people think you're okay. It's about doing the inner work until the healing is so deep that it starts to pour out of you without effort. You walk differently. You talk differently. You carry yourself differently. And people who used to know you will look at you and say, something's changed. They may not be able to put it into words, but they'll know there's a light on you that wasn't there before. That's the kind of glow you can't fake. And let me tell you something. When the glow is undeniable, you don't even have to chase opportunities. Opportunities start chasing you. Doors begin to open that were once slammed shut. Favor finds you because your energy, your resilience, your presence announces what you've been through and how far you've come. That kind of glow is magnetic. It draws the right things, the right people, the right opportunities, because it's not rooted in performance. It's rooted in truth. I know the world makes it seem like you have to prove yourself constantly, like you need receipts, evidence, and explanations for why you deserve to be where you are. But the truth is, undeniable doesn't argue. Undeniable doesn't debate. Undeniable doesn't defend. Undeniable just is. And when your glow becomes undeniable, you stop wasting energy on convincing people and start focusing on continuing to grow. And here's the part you have to understand. Undeniable doesn't mean everyone will celebrate you. In fact, some people will still criticize. Some will still doubt. Some will still try to minimize what's obvious. But even in their denial, they can't escape the truth. They may not like it, but they can't deny it. They may not clap, but they can't ignore it. Because undeniable has a way of forcing people to acknowledge what they tried to overlook. Think about the butterfly. It doesn't have to announce that it's no longer a caterpillar. It just shows up, wings spread, flying in colors no one imagined when it was crawling. That's the undeniable glow. You don't argue with your past. You don't beg people to believe you've changed. You just show up transformed. And the very sight of your existence becomes your testimony. And maybe that's what makes the glow so powerful. It speaks for you when words fail. It tells your story without you having to defend it. It whispers resilience. It echoes strength. It radiates survival. And when people see it, they can't help but feel something shift. They don't need you to hand them proof. The glow is the proof. So don't worry about who doesn't see you now. Don't waste your energy trying to explain what God is still building in private. Don't get caught up in announcing what time will reveal. Because when it's your season, when it's your moment, when it's your glow up, your shine will be undeniable. There is something powerful about the way life flips the script. The very people who thought you'd never make it, the ones who looked at your brokenness and counted you out, will have no choice but to witness the glow that comes from your transformation. And here's the truth. It won't even be about proving them wrong. It won't be about revenge. It won't be about standing in front of them and saying, "Look at me now." The shock is not for you, it's for them. For so long, people may have defined you by your lowest moments. They saw the tears, the mistakes, the times you fell short, and they assumed that was your story. They thought you'd always be the one who struggled, always be the one who was overlooked, always be the one who stayed down. But what they didn't understand is that a glow up is never obvious in the beginning. Growth is silent. Transformation is gradual, and resilience is often invisible until it bursts into the open. They thought you were finished, but you were only in process. And when the process is complete, when you finally rise, it shocks the people who were convinced you'd never get back up. Not because you need their recognition, but because your life becomes undeniable evidence that the story didn't end where they thought it would. The shock is their reminder that they misjudged you, underestimated you, and misunderstood what was happening when you were in the dirt. The beautiful thing is that by the time your glow up arrives, you won't even need to address them. You'll be too busy living in your purpose, too focused on walking in your new strength, too committed to embracing the joy you fought for. Your transformation will speak louder than any words you could ever say. The same mouths that doubted you will be left speechless because your shine will tell the story without you having to explain. And isn't it something how life works? The ones who laughed at you in your struggle will have to witness your breakthrough. The ones who whispered about your failures will have to sit front row to your victory. The ones who thought your silence meant defeat will realize it was preparation. That's why you don't have to fight for validation. You don't have to argue with those who question you. You don't have to prove a single thing. Just keep growing, keep healing, keep becoming. Because when your glow shows up, the shock will handle the rest. But here's the key. You don't rise so they can see you. You rise so you can finally see yourself clearly. The shock isn't about them learning who you are. It's about you remembering who you've always been. And once you remember, you'll never go back to shrinking for the comfort of others. You'll never go back to explaining your worth. You'll never go back to trying to fit into spaces that were too small for you. Because you've lived through too much, grown through too much, survived too much to pretend you are anything less than radiant. And yes, they'll be shocked. They'll be surprised. They'll wonder how you did it, how you made it out, how you rose when the odds were against you. But what they'll never truly understand is that your glow up wasn't built on their approval, their applause, or their acceptance. It was built in the dark, in the silence, in the struggle, in the moments nobody saw. That's why it shines so bright, because it was forged in authenticity. So let them be shocked. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Their reaction is not your responsibility. Your only job is to keep walking in the fullness of who you've become, because when the glow up comes, and it will, you won't need to say a word. The transformation will say it for you.